Are you experiencing a lot more insufficient fund declines in your checkout page? This is likely causing you a lot of lost revenue and lost customers. Today, I'm going to talk to you about why these insufficient fund declines happen. You might see them also as error code or decline code 51 in your gateway. And I'm also going to tell you a few ways that you can actually capture some of these sales and make more money off of these customers once you figure out how to fix this problem. My name is Maria Sparagas. I am the owner of Direct Payment, and I help thousands of 7- and 8-figure merchants figure out their payment processing and make more revenue per client. And today, as I was saying, I really want to dig in insufficient fund declines. This is causing huge losses to a lot of online businesses, and most businesses don't actually know how to fix this and think these are just customers that are gone. So obviously, the main issue here is when you get an insufficient fund decline or that message from your payment gateway, what your processor is telling you is this customer who is trying to buy from you has no money to make this purchase. I mean, it feels fairly clear. And obviously it's frustrating because you paid for traffic, you got the customer to get onto your checkout page only to find out obviously that they have no money to make the purchase. But as I said, there are some different things that you can do. Now, let me dig in first as to why this happens. Now, as I said, the customer's bank is telling you that this customer has no money to make that transaction. So the number one thing to do and the easiest thing to do is to tell your customers exactly why their credit card transaction has been declined. So if you do tell your customer, for example, you have insufficient funds to make this transaction, they may act on it by calling their bank and trying to increase their limit or trying a different credit card that has a higher limit and so forth. So that just empowering your customers with that information might actually get them to take action instead of just telling them this is declined and move on, right? So whenever you get an insufficient fund decline, which is, as I said, error code or decline code 51 in your gateway, it would be great for you to tell your customer, because the more information you tell your customer, the more likely they are to try to fix it themselves and try to pursue and continue that transaction. Now, another reason this may happen is because some customers, for example, they have pre-authorizations on their cards for example, car rentals or hotels or other large purchases. Now, this doesn't mean that they have no money on their credit card, because an authorization is just reserving the money in order to ensure that later on, if they do continue that purchase, that there will be money on their card. Now, obviously, if you tell your customers that there are insufficient funds on their card to do that transaction, they may take action again by looking at their credit card and seeing if there are any pending authorizations. So if there are pending authorization, a lot of times they can actually just remove those transactions from their online banking, or they can take other action to kind of remove those, because oftentimes, as we know, we book a hotel, they take a pre-authorization for sometimes even 30 days, and you may not have any intention of staying at that hotel, or you may have canceled and they still haven't terminated that authorization. So again, empowering your customers with the knowledge that there are no funds in order for them to continue that transaction is going to be very powerful, and they may go ahead and solve it for you and then go ahead and pursue that transaction. So some other decline messages that you may get in your payment processing gateway, may be a little bit harder to figure out, may have different interpretations. This one is fairly clear. It's saying obviously that the customer has no money. So you're probably asking yourself, well, if the customer has no money, what exactly can I do to save this sale? And I can't collect, so it's pretty much done. Well, I will tell you that there are some strategies and there's some different ways that you can try that will help you capture that sale and make that customer a loyal customer, because obviously you're going to help them buy your product, which is their intention. So, it's important that you first of all figure out, when you have declined transactions, what the error messages are and the decline messages are. So you can take a data dump from your gateway, whichever gateway you get. You just take a data dump of all your transactions and then you sort them by decline message, and then you can work on each one individually. As I said, today I'm going to talk about insufficient funds, but I do have some other videos that cover, for example, do not honors or suspected fraud reason codes and so forth. So it is important for you to at least know why transactions are being declined, not just that they're being declined. If they're being declined for suspected fraud or do not honors from the bank side and so forth, there are a lot of things that you can do. In this case, for insufficient funds, I'm going to list out to you a couple of very simple and easy strategies that you can implement into your shopping cart today that's going to increase your conversions and get these customers to be loyal customers. Now, the first thing that you can do is, if you're only offering credit cards on your checkout page, you need to start adding more alternative payment modes. And what I mean by that, for example, if you're in the US, one very popular alternative payment method that is gaining a lot of popularity even on consumer products is ACH. So ACH is actually, just taking money from somebody's bank account, and it is a surefire way, of course, for you to collect your money pretty much immediately. And you can also do things like recurring payments and installments and so forth. So it doesn't really take away anything from you as a merchant. It actually costs a lot less than processing credit cards, and there's less risks of chargebacks and disputes and so forth. So it's actually a win-win. And at Direct Paynet, we do offer ACH options. And I will tell you that businesses and merchants who add ACH actually increase their revenue, because there are some people who have no credit cards or prefer not to use credit cards and really welcome the ACH option as a way to pay. So adding ACH is very simple. Whoever you're working with most likely can add it as an add-on if you have a US merchant account, and it really doesn't take very, very much time at all to add it to your shopping cart. So it's a really easy way to gain more revenue. And for your insufficient fund decline customers, you can just point them to an ACH option and say, hey, would you like to try with ACH? And you will capture a few of them through that payment method. Now, another really popular one that we're seeing more and more is the buy now, pay later options. So buy now, pay later works in a way that it'll split up the payments for your customers. It'll guarantee you as a business to get the full amount, and then the buy now, pay later companies will collect the amount from the customer at various intervals, whether it's weekly or monthly and so forth. Now, this can be an interesting option, and obviously, it will allow customers to make smaller payments and so forth, but buy now, pay later services carry very high fees. I've seen, 8 to 10% charge for these transactions. So you do have to build these fees into your margins and make sure that it still makes sense if you offer buy now, pay later. One other alternative that you can have if you have a merchant account and you process your own payments is you could do installments. Now, installments are different than buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later companies guarantee you the full amount and pay you the full amount right after the customer does the transaction. With an installment plan, what you're doing is you're breaking up the payment for your customer. So if, for example, a customer pays you this month and then next month there has to be another installment, it's still possible that the transaction may not go through if they have no money or they canceled their card and so forth. So there is a risk that you may not collect the full amount, but you will be paying a lot less in credit card processing fees by doing installments versus a buy now, pay later. So it's really important to assess both of these options and decide which one is better. Maybe you offer both, and obviously you can adjust your pricing for both of these types of options. But in general, a lot of merchants and businesses that we work with go for the installment path because they know, if they break it up, there's less chances of getting another insufficient fund decline. They will pay less fees in credit card transactions. So it's a win-win. And also, when you offer installments, it's very common that the installments are a higher price than if somebody does a one-time payment. So for example, if you're charging $1,000 for your product, you could do 4 payments of $300, because customers and the public is used to paying a premium when they don't do a full purchase right at the beginning. So it could actually end up being a winner in terms of revenue, because if customers keep deciding to pay in installments, you may make more money than if you sell it as a one-time payment. Now, what's important to understand that you will not save all these customers. You will not be able to convert all your customers that are declining from insufficient funds. But adding ACH, buy now, pay later, installment plans, and even perhaps one other alternative is to have a low cost offer. Now you may say, I don't want customers that, can't afford my product or service. And if it's a high ticket, obviously you may get a lot more insufficient declines. But what you can do is you can have a smaller product that may have more targeted information just to get the customer in your world and, making sure that they keep up to date with you. And, later on, if they're in a different financial position or if they're able to get the funds available, they may decide to buy. So don't discount, a small or a low ticket offer, as that really does help sometimes convert more sales and make future customers that are willing to pay you more money. And to add to that, as I mentioned earlier, knowing your stats, knowing your data is very important. One thing you can do is you can take all your customers that have declined for insufficient funds and you can make an email list with them, offering them lower cost product or free information, again, to get them into your world, to get them familiarized with you and your products and your services. And as I said, people change different financial situations at all different times. So these customers will likely become more loyal because you were able to accommodate them when they were, obviously not in the greatest financial position. So creating an email list specifically for these customers and addressing their needs with lower cost options will get you to convert more, will make them more loyal, and obviously, hopefully will convert them into higher ticket customers at a later date. Now, I hope this information is useful. And if you did get anything from this episode, I hope you start learning more about your decline data because it is a treasure trove of information. You can actually correct a lot of things in your checkout page if you understand why your transactions are declining. And I've seen it time and time again, how sometimes there's tech issues that are not diagnosed because we don't understand or you don't understand as a business owner the data that your payment processor is giving you. If you need to take a deep dive into your decline data or your approval rates, feel free to contact myself or somebody from my team at Direct Paynet, and we'd be happy to assist you in taking a deep dive and understanding your data. Now, if you like this episode or if you have any questions specifically about decline transactions, feel free to drop me a comment down below and I'll definitely be doing more content about this. And also don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content. Have yourself a great day.